Hello, and welcome to this new series on programmable logic controller programming using the Rockwell Automation Connected Component Workbench, which is also known as CCW. CCW software is a standalone development platform that incorporates an integrated architecture. CCW allows users to configure and program the Micro 800 series of Allen Bradley PLCs, human-machine interfaces, which are HMIs, variable frequency drives, VFDs, motion control, and safety PLCs and safety relays. So it is a fully integrated package. Now, if you've been programming with Rockwell's RS Logix 500 or RS Logix 5000 or Studio 5000 software, you're going to have a bit of adjustment to the environment of CCW. The other thing current programmers will need to get used to is that CCW uses the true IEC 61131-3 standard instruction set. The instructions will look different than what you're used to seeing in the 500 and the 5000 series software. However, they will work exactly, almost exactly, the same as what you're used to with the 500 and the 5000 series software. So you won't have a lot more to learn. It's just going to look a little different. For those just starting out, you're going to find CCW easy to install, easy to use, very easy to learn. And one of the great things is that there is a free version of CCW that you can download and install. There are actually two versions of CCW. One of them is a standard edition, and that's the free edition. And then there's a developer edition. And that edition, you're going to need to contact your local Rockwell Automation distributor and get a license for that one. Both versions are available in a range of different languages, such as English, German, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and simplified Chinese. I didn't know there was a simplified Chinese. Anyway, the latest standard edition as of this video is version 12, and it includes a demo version of the Micro 800 simulator, which means you won't need any PLC hardware while you're learning. The demo version of the software of the simulator, though, only runs for 10 minutes at a time. But you know what? You can simply just restart it to use it for another 10 minutes. And we're going to talk more about that in a later video. As stated earlier, the standard edition is available as a free download from the Rockwell Automation website. The latest developer edition is also version 12. And it includes a full version of the Micro 800 simulator, which will not stop working after 10 minutes, and an archive manager, along with a lot of other enhanced features that aren't included in the standard version. And again, to acquire the developer edition, you're going to need to contact your local Rockwell Automation Allen Bradley supplier and purchase a license for that. So let's go through downloading the software and getting it installed on your machine. Once it's installed, we can start the lessons and we can get you up to curve on programming PLCs in hopefully a few short lessons. So open up a web browser, any browser of your choice. I actually like to use Vivaldi. Vivaldi is a Chromium-based browser. It's a little bit more secure than Chrome, and I just like the way it works and the way it navigates. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to go to the Rockwell Automation website. So we'll just type in rockwellautomation.com. and we will press enter. Once the page loads, you may get, especially if you've never been to this website, you may get a page that comes up asking you what language you'd like or what part of the world you're from, and just select the obvious there as to where part of the world you're from so that you get it in the correct language for yourself. The easiest way to get to where to download this software, and like in any Windows application, in most any website, there's multiple ways to get to the same place. This is the way I like to do it, and this is the way the Rockwell homepage looks, at least as of this video. It does change from time to time. I like to go through products. And under products, you might think, well, I'm going to be downloading software, so I'll go under software. Well, that's not where we're going to go. We're going to actually go under hardware, and we're going to look at programmable controllers. And we'll click on programmable controllers. And as soon as that comes up, for some reason, there we go, programmable controllers. And we're going to start scrolling down. And this is going to list the categories of controllers that Rockwell Automation supplies. I am not selling Rockwell. Rockwell just happens to have the largest install base here in the northeastern part of the United States. So we go down to Rockwell and we look for the microcontrol system. And we're going to come down and find this link, and you can see some specs here for microcontrollers, and we'll click on microcontrollers. You'll then come up with another page that says micro and nano control systems. We are again looking for microcontrollers. So it's the Micro 800 control series, and again, you can read the instructions over here, but you'll see that there's several different models of controllers. It really doesn't matter which one you select. I'm going to select the 850 because the simulator that's built into the CCW software is actually a Micro 850. So I'm going to click on 850, and it will bring up everything about the 850 hardware. And you can take some time to look through this stuff either now or maybe later in the course. And maybe later in the course we'll actually do a section on hardware, because I have an 820 here and an 830 that I can do stuff physically with, and they're actually very affordable. And we're going to then come down along this top and you can see the specification overviews, but there's a link here for software. So we'll click on software, and then we'll say use the Connected Component Workbench software with the Microsoft Visual Studio technology. So we're going to click on Connected Component Workbench. And you'll see a page come up, Design and Configuration Software. And let's scroll down. This tells you all about it. There's a couple of videos on here, which I would say you should watch when you get a chance. Rockwell has already made several videos that are available either on this website or on YouTube on how to use CCW. The videos were produced with an earlier version, but even though the versions look a little different, they all navigate the same. Feel free to use theirs also. So I'm going to scroll down here, and one of the biggest items that you need to pay attention of is the operating system requirements. I maybe should have said this up front to you, but this software will only run on Windows. So if you're a Mac user, sorry. And I have never tried using it in the Windows for Mac. So you may have, if you want to try that, you may have to experiment with that. And you Linux users, sorry, it doesn't run on Linux. Again, I have not tried it in the Linux software that's used. I think it's called Wine for running Windows applications. I plan on trying that, and if that works, I may do a video on that also. But right now, it only works in Windows. It's only certified to run in Windows. And you'll see that they have some minimum requirements over here. The processor should be at least an i5. I'm running on an i7. Actually, I'm running on an i5 right now. You should have 8 gigabytes of RAM. CCW will run with 4. I've ran with 4, but it's a real dog on 4. So you should have 8 gigs of RAM. It's telling you to have 20 gigabits of hard space available. I'm not quite sure you need that much, but I would say you should have that at least. And then naturally a pointing device. The supported operating systems are Windows 10, both 32 and 64-bit. You can run it on Windows Server, Windows 8.1, and Windows 7 as long as you have Service Pack 1. So you will need the .NET Framework 3.5 Service Pack 1 installed. And that install does not come with the download of the CCW software. However, if you have Windows 10, it's already installed. You just have to enable it. You come down to the download software, and you'll see right here in this area there are free download or a free DVD. So we can either download the standard edition, which is the free edition, or you could request a DVD of the standard edition, and they'll send you that. There might be a small fee for that, but you know, they can send you that if you don't want to download, or if you're on a slow internet connection and you know, it's going to take forever to do that. If you are a Rockwell license holder, or you already have a Direct Connect account or something, you can actually download the developer edition for that. There are also some software resources. There's a sample code library, and you'll see that there's a lot more available than just the software for CCW. So I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to say let's download the standard edition. So we'll click on the standard edition. Now, when you first download this software, you are going to need an account on the Rockwell website. And I'll show you where you're going to create that. You should come up with a page that looks like this. You'll see it's Connected Component Workbench version 12. Please download version 12 if you're going to run it. Version 11, it was okay. There were a few bugs in it that would make it lock up once in a while. Version 10 was fine also. But version 12, so far, I haven't had any issues with version 12 whatsoever. It's been running very smoothly. I've only had one lockup, and that was pretty much my fault. So by clicking a little too fast on something I shouldn't have clicked on. So anyway, what you want to do is over in the downloads, and don't worry about these numbers. These are for other versions. We want over in the downloads, let's select files, and we'll just select files. And you must download this accessory file, which is the Connected Component Workbench Standard Multiple Language Edition version 12. You must do that. That's the software. The firmware tools. If you're only going to use the built-in simulator, you won't need any of the firmware tools. If you eventually plan to get some hardware, when you buy a PLC or an HMI from Rockwell, it does not come with firmware. I mean, Rockwell doesn't know what firmware edition you want to run. So you're going to have to download some firmware and then flash the PLC with that firmware. It's free, so don't worry, there's no cost. other than the time to download it. So if you even think that you might want to get hardware for eventually, I would say let's turn on the control flash, and I always turn on both of them. There's one that uses the Factory Talk services, and at this point in time, if you don't know what Factory Talk services are, that's okay. We may talk about that a little bit later. There's also other product add-ons. So there is some user manuals here and some sample code. You know, I'm going to turn those on too, and we're going to do a total of 6 downloads. And when you're all finished with that, we're going to say close. And then I'm going to come up here and we'll see here downloads 6. Now when I click on that downloads button, it's going to show me what I'm going to be downloading. So I'm going to be downloading Connected Component Workbench Edition 12. I'm going to be doing the Control Flash version 3s. I'm going to be using the configuration of user manuals. I'm going to be using the Component Workbench user manual, and I'm going to be downloading some sample code. So doing that, we can then click download now. So we do a download now, and here's where you need an account. If you don't have an account, you can create an account. Trust me, Rockwell is not going to bombard you with spam. What the account's going to do is it's going to allow you to use their website to get information, to get product support, to do other downloads of free stuff if you'd like. If you already have an account, all you have to do is sign in on this side. So I'm going to sign in. And I'll click sign in. You will be presented with a license agreement. Like most of us, we just do accept. And then you'll have 2 options for downloading. You can do a managed download, which is going to use a software program to do the download for you. Or you can use a direct download, which will either use your browser, or if you have any third-party like download software that you want to use, you can use that. When I'm downloading just one file, I probably use the direct download. But because I'm doing multiple files in this case, I'm going to use the managed download. It's nice because if things get interrupted, especially since it seems like my internet connection is fairly slow tonight, if it fails, it'll pick up where it left off and you won't have to restart the whole download again. So I'm going to use the managed download, and it's going to want an executable file to run or to save. And what this is, it's the software that's used to actually do the download. So I'm just going to say open to this. Whatever browser you're using, you'll have to respond the way your browser tells you to do that. And it's going to start doing the download. Now it tells you where the download is going to occur, and this is going to be in the users downloads RA. I want to change this, and I want to put it in a different folder. So I'm going to click change, and I'm going to select the folder that I want to put this in. So I want this on the C drive in my stuff under apps. And I'm going to make a new folder called CCW V12. And I'm going to say OK to that, so that this is going to download into that folder. And we're just going to let that download. And I'll be back as soon as that downloads. Okay, as you can see, it's done downloading. It's at 100%. You can either close this dialog, or you can come over here and click the little open to open up the download folder. So I'm going to click on open, and it's going to take me to where I downloaded this software. And you'll see, let me expand this open a little bit. There are, it comes down as a compressed file. So I'm going to open the CCW folder. And in the CCW folder, there is an exe for part 1 and then a .rar file for part 2, but you don't have to run that one. So if you run part 1 executable, it will extract everything it needs and build a installation package for you. Once that installation package is built, then there'll be a setup file that we can run. So let me extract this. I'm going to double click on execute, and I'm going to put it in CCW, and I'm going to say extract. And we'll let this extract. I don't know how long this is going to take. So while this is extracting, I'm just going to pause, and I'll be right back. Okay, it's done extracting. Now we're going to find out where it is. So I'm going to open up the CCW, and here it is. And scroll down this list of files, and you will see here a setup.exe. If you do not have your file extensions turned on, you won't see the .exe, but you'll want to run setup. I always like to keep my file extensions turned on so that I can see what I'm opening. So you'll want this setup file. Before we run the setup.exe file to install CCW, there's one thing that you have to do, and that is to either install .NET 3.5 or make sure that you have the Microsoft .NET Framework 3.5 installed on the machine and enabled. So to do that, if you have Windows 10, Windows 10 should have the .NET 3.5 framework already installed, but it may not be enabled. So in order to check that, press the Windows key on your keyboard plus the R key to bring up the Run dialog box. And in the Open field, we want to type in appwiz for appwiz.cpl. And then either press the enter or click OK. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring up the Programs and Features window. You then want to come over on the left and click on Turn Windows Features on or off. So when you click on that, you'll get a Windows Features dialog. And the very first item in that dialog box is the .NET Framework 3.5, including the .NET 2.0 and 3.0. Make sure that that is selected. Mine is shown as being selected. If you drill in by clicking the plus sign, there's two other options. I didn't need those options, so I didn't turn them on. If you need them or if you want them, you can turn them on. It won't affect the CCW installation. So make sure that's on. When you click OK, just follow the screen prompts. Now, I didn't get any screen prompts because my .NET 3.5 is already enabled and installed. But if you haven't done that yet, you may get some screen prompts. And just follow along the screen prompts. You'll then most likely be asked to restart the machine. So go ahead and restart it when the .NET 3.5 is all installed. And once your machine restarts, Then you can go back to the installation folder where CCW setup file is, and then you can run the CCW setup. I already have CCW set up on this computer, so I'm not going to run this again, but you'll just double click on the setup and it'll prompt you through the installation. It's pretty simple. It takes a little while to do the installation, but once it's installed, it'll create a desktop icon for you, I believe. If not, I'll show you how to get there. So I hope you were able to do this. I hope you join me for the rest of these videos. If you do want to do that, get the software, download it, get it installed on your system, and I'll be creating the next video in shortly. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.